Welcome to Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day thus far. Taking a look at the weather the past month or so. It's been hot. Everybody on my emails and correspondence with you all have been, hey, this has really been a hot month. Well, in fact, California has, at the end of July, created the warmest July on record in the state of California. That's hard to do because records go way back, 1850s, some longer than that. And then you've got, it's July. July's a hard time to break records, and it's California. California gets hot in the Central Valley, but we basically beat those, the warmest in recorded history. What's happening is when the high pressure is sitting offshore with the Pacific high, the air sinks, it pushes down, it creates an inversion, which is the line between the warmer air aloft and the cooler air beneath. That cooler air, obviously, because the sea surface temperatures are so cool, averaging about 58 degrees, fog forms in that layer, and it gets trapped down there. And fog really it wants this high pressure in order for it to form. When the inversion gets like this, the marine layer or the cooler air can't get over the coastal hills, which averages about 1,000 feet. So now you've got air rising out of the heat from the Central Valley that is going unchecked, no sea breeze getting to it. Going unchecked, this air rises, it comes back out to the ocean, it goes up, it cools, it sinks, and it creates this feedback loop, a miniature Hadley cell, if you will. Oh, and I checked on that the other day. Hadleys, there's 4 of them around the planet, if you were paying attention on that last talk. So here's what's happening now. The inversion has been lifted, right? The low pressure that we're going to show you in a minute came through, is over us or just to the north of us now. It's lifted the marine layer up. It's up over 1,000 feet, up over 1,800 feet. And so the air is now coming into and cooling the inland bay valleys. And when I say inland bay valleys, I mean for sure Sacramento, which is awesome, but it's also cooling Livermore Valley, Santa Clara Valley, right? So it's an equal opportunity cooling environment, and we're seeing the results, which are lower temperatures. These are the forecasts for today, but also we're seeing fire danger, which has been really intense this year, and it will remain intense, by the way, because it's the hottest July on record in California. The fuels are extremely dry, but this pattern, increased humidity, lower temperatures that low, the inversion being lifted, gives you temperatures like these. And if you've noticed, and I know you have, we are not doing a bunch of fire stories in the newscasts. We haven't the last couple of days. I mean, there's fires. The park fire is still huge, but it's been completely diminished because of this pattern. Same with the Crozier fire. The valley highs, the forecast highs, when Redding is 92, they call that a good day, right? You go, that's pretty warm. Redding in August? No way, man. 92 is that's springtime for them. Paradise 83, Sacramento 91, Modesto and Fresno mid 90s to upper 90s all the way south down to Fresno. So that's pretty awesome, right? It's a good pattern. Let's see, we got this way. There we go. 5-day forecast. We'll get this out of the way and then we'll look at the fires. Your 5-day forecast, coastal sections stay in the low 60s, mid to upper 80s, inland, which is awesome. This is my favorite summertime pattern. You know what it feels like? It feels a lot like fall, right? This type of pattern. So we talked about how the inversion, so that's the forecast. We're going to continue with this relative low pressure offshore through the week and into the weekend. I mean, you'll see it in the model runs. So this is this is probably an hour, half hour old now, but hey, where's the park fire, right? You got to shut up in this area, but you don't see smoke streaming off it. CAL FIRE has been crushing it. Very little smoke in the state. Where'd the inversion go? Oh, look, fog is gone. The fog's down here by Morro Bay, which you can't see very well. I don't think you can. You may kind of see it right there. There's some fog down by Morro Bay. But the inversion can't exist. It doesn't exist. So with that, you go to Ocean Beach in San Francisco, and right, this is August. What is it? August 13th. This is not the norm, by the way. Central Ocean Beach, beautiful, beautiful day, beautiful beach, by the way. And I sure love the way they, not to ramble here, but I love the way that they close that Great Highway. I know a lot of my friends are like, dang, it's crushing us in the avenues because the traffic is more congested. But I also like the family aspect of seeing people, whenever I go surf out there on Fridays especially, that people are people are enjoying it. Kids are riding bikes for the first time. City's a hard place to grow up when you're a little kid if you don't have some place to ride a bike, and these kids do. Okay, this is Lindemar. They're doing surf school lessons. It's a good camera, and you can kind of see, I guess this camera rocks because you can see, we didn't see any fog at Ocean Beach, but we do see a little bit of fog, right, building up on the headlands, which is pretty typical. So fog is around, but it doesn't form easily unless that high pressure inversion is in place. And then this is Pleasure Point, and Pleasure Point is showing us that the fog is in there. Actually, look, it's sunny. I guess it looks sunny, and I can see the fog off in Monterey Bay. Didn't show up on our satellite image though, right? That's sort of interesting. Oh yeah, it sure did. I'm sorry. There it is right there. So that's what we were just looking at. That's not awesome. So there's a live picture, or this is the satellite image, and then this is the live picture, which makes sense. It all verifies. I didn't see that fog the first round. Okay, so I want to show you this. This is, and I bet you can see California, right? There's Bay Area right there, and you kind of see the outline of California. And so what I'll do is, this is the 500 millibar vorticity. I like this map. It's great in the winter because it shows you in those red and orange areas, that's rain. It just shows you where the air is rising or sinking. And the rising air is the reds and the blues. That's positive vorticity. So they are spinning in a positive way, in a counterclockwise rotation, and it's rising and lifting. And that's an unstable environment. And that positive vorticity, to some extent, has a lot to do with why we're not seeing the inversion, because it's lifting, the air's rising. And that's what we see. So when you see this trough area, see these lines, that's essentially the jet stream. And it's kind of going this way, and there's a little trough here. So those lines represent the jet stream, which isn't very strong right now, and that's why it's not going to rain. But watch what happens as we go through time. So here we are into Wednesday. Here, it just keeps coming. This is all out of PVA, we call that, positive vorticity advection. That's PVA there. And that's on Saturday. So Saturday is actually going to cool, and maybe you get a little shower activity up around Coos Bay, Oregon. And then you see the trough still there, a little bit warmer. That's Wednesday, but still this is an unusual pattern. Look at this thing here. That's not going to happen. That's next Friday. That would be interesting. And then the high should build in after this. Yeah, the high starts to bump up. See how it bumps it up? Okay, so and then you get into the NVA. You get into the clear areas, which represents negative vorticity, where the air is sinking. So I know that's a lot, and you're going, that's a lot, but it just what we did was we just walked through. Oh, look, we talked about high pressure, low pressure, inversion, high pressure, low pressure, inversion goes away. Then we showed you the visible satellite map where's the fog. Well, the inversion went away because the low's there. Then we looked at live pictures, and we were able to pick out the fog that's minimal that's there and the fog that is not there. So we verified that. And it just sort of all kind of goes together. And this goes together too in terms of the fire. So this fire, the Park Fire, which is gargantuan, it's huge. But look at the hot spots. We'll come up tight here. This is where the hottest spots are right now. You can't even see it. So CAL FIRE has been, without a doubt, I mean, this is one of the best years for CAL FIRE that I can remember, just in terms of getting on these fires. Now, the Crozier Fire here, this is watchduty.org. See that brown, that gray area around it? It represents this fire kind of at 52% containment. So they got a good handle on it. There's still issues and there's always concerns, but there's a lot of fires, and you'll hear it, there's fires burning all over the state of California. There are, but like some of these fires up in Yosemite, I'm not so sure. I don't know these fires that well, but I think they're probably, and Yosemite's interesting because they let the fires burn, right? Because they want a natural environment, probably under some pretty good control. Here's another fire. This is the Simpson Fire. 5 days ago. It looks like it's still burning. Looks pretty remote. But anyway, my point being that this has been a boon. All this high pressure not being around, the low pressure coming in, the inversion going away, has been very helpful to fire. I know it looks like there's fire everywhere, and that the network news will show you this map and go, there's thousands of fires burning in California. There were a lot of fires. Now the fires are abating rapidly. And this pattern helps quite a bit. So you can't always, and that map even looks spooky, but if you delve in, like this fire in Marin is 25 acres, I was looking at it earlier. It looked like it didn't have much of a foothold. Let's see if I can get a picture on it. There we go. So this is that fire, the marine fire. I think it's called the Queenstone fire. This started earlier this morning. So you can kind of see them. The winds aren't out of control. Temperatures aren't nasty. So I look at that fire and I go, oh yeah, they're going to crush it. So I'm not a firefighter, but I know how these guys work. So anyway, that's it. That's a lot of weather, a little bit of everything. Hope you have a nice day. Probably see you tomorrow.